Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Throat Punch Thursday.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Who's ready?
It's Throat Punch Thursday, bitch.
I see that every week, and every week it amuses me. I don't know about how y'all feel about that, but yeah, it just amuses me to see that every week. But anyway, we're here. We're having a good time. Fortunately, Mike will not be joining us once again today. He is still on the road. He was on his way back. He was hustling. He was moving, but he's not going to make it back to Location Bravo in time to do the show today. But Mike, just drive safely. If you're listening right now, or if you're watching and driving, how about you just listen and drive? But anyway, be safe, bro. Be safe, bro. We hopefully we just want to make sure you're back in time for tomorrow for Free for All Friday, so that we can have a good old time. Talking about thank God it's Friday. But we're going to be here. I'm here. You're here. We're going to be taking your comments. So would love to hear what it is that you have to say. Also, let's go ahead and we'll just start the way we normally do. And that's, we usually start off by giving a quick shout out to our sponsors. We usually start off with Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels. They're available for you to purchase at any length. If you've bought an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels. So why not get another one? Right? Whether you're looking to do a brand new build or you're looking to rebarrel an old rifle, start your project, start your journey with hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. You might recognize the fact that a lot of people who are leaders at the national level are coming from the state of California. So maybe you want to know, what's it going to take to help elect conservatives? Well, go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org, and find out why Ronald Reagan referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. Once again, if you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then there are the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. You'll find them at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. Why do they spell it that way? Because they like helping Americans wear guns. They like it so much, they're willing to give you a discount. All you have to do is use the discount code THERUNDOWN. All caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there. Get your hog holster on discount today. And then finally, we have the place where you can find all the tactical gear. Any tactical gear you're looking for, trust me, you will find it at uscombatgear.com, except the gun, right? So they specialize in group sales. So if you have a group, you have an agency, you have a club, you have a department, maybe you're the purchasing agent for your department, whatever it is, you need to check out uscombatgear.com. They have a huge selection. They have very, very competitive pricing and the best customer service on the market. Check them out today, uscombatgear.com, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. Now, also want to remind y'all, if you're watching this program 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. live, 6 p.m. Eastern, you're watching the program live, which means we're taking your comments. I'm looking right over here. I'm checking to see what it is that you have to say. So if you got something to say, if you want to just comment on the program, you want to comment on the topic that we're talking about, maybe you just want to give a shout out, let us know let us know where you're watching from. We would love to hear from you. And by the way, all I care about is that it's interesting, right? I don't care. You don't have to agree with me. In fact, it's almost better that you don't agree with us, because if you disagree, well, then that means we have the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
Yeah, we will mock you. And by the way, we do that not because it's just entertaining to us, but mostly because it's entertaining to me. The benefit of being the host. You know what I mean? Okay, let's get into the big breaking news. The big breaking news out right now. Kristi Noem is out as Department of Homeland Services Secretary, Department of Homeland Security Secretary. And there's a number of reasons why. And I think that we've talked about some of our concerns with some of the things that have happened. In particular, I've expressed my concern with how she's kind of done her job. And she's had more than her share of mistakes. And let's just say that Trump has had his issues. And basically, what I will say is this: Donald Trump has been very, very loyal to his folks this time around. If you might remember, the first year there, I mean, it was a revolving door in term one in the Trump administration. But I think this time he did a much better job in terms of the selection process. But that's not to say that it's not without its challenges. And as being reported by the California Post, Trump fires Kristi Noem in first cabinet shakeup in second term, taps senator as replacement. It says here, President Donald Trump announced Thursday that he is firing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in the first cabinet shakeup of his term, naming Senator Markwayne Mullin, a Republican from Oklahoma, as his nominee to fill the role. Trump announced the move after two major flubs by Noem in her testimony before Congress this week. She failed to outright deny an affair with a subordinate, and she told Congress that the president approved $220 million in ads featuring herself, including one on horseback at Mount Rushmore. Trump accused her of lying before canning her. And now here, I'm going to show you her testimony, and then I'm going to show you the commercial.
How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently?
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking were people who had formerly done your political work back in South Dakota. Is that right?
No, that's not correct, sir.
I think it is.
No, it's not, sir. The individuals who, I believe the careers who they chose were two different media firms. There's been conversation about their subcontractors, but we have no legal authority to look into subcontractors on work like that.
Okay. And you're saying that you're testifying that President Trump approved this ahead of time. Is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that we were telling people.
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know
worked
you
with
were going
OMB.
to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so, and that's what President Trump basically is taking issue with. He's like, yeah, no, I don't know that here's the thing. So the question was twofold. Number one, did he approve commercials? And I think arguably she probably is making the point that he did approve commercials. I think he probably did not necessarily approve commercials that featured her prominently. And when I say prominently, I mean, this is what she's talking about.
Why do I love these wide open spaces? They remind me of why our forefathers came here, not just for its beauty, but for the freedom only America provides. I'm Kristi Noem. From the cowboys who tamed the West, to the titans who built our cities, to the dreamers who chased the impossible, America has always rewarded vision and grit. Our greatness calls people to us for a chance to prosper, to live how they choose, to become part of something special. Anyone who searches for freedom can always find a home here, but that freedom's a precious thing, and we defend it vigorously. You cross the border illegally, we'll find you. Break our laws, we'll punish you. Harm American citizens, there will be consequences. But if you come here the right way, your American dream can be as big as these endless skies. From President Trump and me, welcome home.
All right, so now that's the commercial, and as you can see, it's not just a commercial for Homeland Security. It's a commercial for Kristi Noem. I mean, I would say that that Donald Trump would not have had an issue if that whole commercial was about him, but because that's kind of how Donald Trump is. But I think he probably did take issue with the fact that it was largely about her. And quite frankly, I'm willing to bet you dollars to donuts that they did not have a conversation about who was going to be uniquely, prominently featured. And my question is, why did she feel that she needed to be the one that was so prominently featured? I mean, you could have had anybody in that one. You could have had, you could have hired an actor or an actress to do that. I have no problem with the overall message. The overall message is, get up out of here if you ain't supposed to be here. But it was a pro-America message that I don't think focused enough. I mean, it was a minute-long commercial, which means that you probably could have said took the part you probably could have said the part that was really pro-America, cut that down. You probably could have done the part about self-deporting and getting out of here if you're not supposed to be here. You probably could have turned that into a 30-second commercial, which probably would have reduced the overall cost of the commercials significantly. Little less Kristi Noem, little more facts, but anyway, I think that gave Donald Trump the excuse. I think you have that in the fact that there are rumors. So far, nobody has confirmed it, but nobody has denied that she's sleeping or having an affair with Corey Lewandowski, President Trump's first campaign manager back in 2016. He ran the campaign back in 2016. He's had a number of different things, but anyway, there are rumors, and so far, once again, nobody's denied that Kristi Noem, who is married, and Corey Lewandowski, who is like a special assistant of hers, they call him a non-governmental employee, special assistant of hers, that they've been having an affair. So there's that, but there's an excuse. But I think ultimately, the biggest mistakes really have come. Really, it was Minnesota, and really it was how she responded to the two shooting incidents that occurred in Minnesota. The way she kind of came out so early in the process, before, in many cases, facts were known about what was going on, and so vividly was like, I mean, especially I think where she came out and she basically called them. She referred to them as domestic terrorists. She basically said in the case of Good that she was trying to run people over with her car. And I think that anyone who looks at it understands that the officer, the one who shot her, he had no way of knowing that she was not trying to run him over. But could you arguably say, I mean, could you look at what happened and from once again, having the benefit of hindsight, look at it and say, well, maybe she was just trying to get away and wasn't necessarily trying to run him over? Yes. You had the instance where she made it sound like Mr. Preddy went there with a gun and actually intended to try and shoot and kill or shoot ICE agents. No, he was armed, yes, but he was not. He was basically, his hand was never on his gun during anywhere in that whole process. It's just the way in which she characterized it was so quick to come out and characterize it the way that she did. Those were both probably two of the biggest PR fails there during the Trump administration during his first year. Add to that just the overall PR fail that the whole Minnesota ICE movement was, and how quickly things kind of calmed down as soon as Tom Homan took over, how things got corrected as soon as Tom Homan took over. And you realize, yeah, it was time. It was definitely time for her to go. Those were the real reasons. Now, You have Democrats who are, oh, they're all happy. And now the funny part is that now they're saying, well, that's great, we got rid of her. And they act like they were the reason. No, the reason why was because Republicans were saying she needed to go. Let's be very clear that he didn't listen to, well, I'm not saying he didn't listen to the Democrats, but I am going to say that the main reason why, because you had Democrats going after Pete Hegseth. He ain't gone nowhere. You have them going after Tom Homan. They want Homan gone. He hasn't gone anywhere, right? The people who have clearly made mistakes, in particular, and I say a lot of it has to do with imagery. A lot of it has to do with how they've communicated. They're the ones that have been moved. And in this particular case, I think it's good. I think the replacement, Senator Mullins, I think is going to be. He's currently, I think, sits on the Oversight Committee. I also believe he also sits on the Homeland Security Committee. I think that he is going to be a much better selection. He's someone who's not necessarily seeking the limelight, whereas Kristi Noem, let's be honest, she was all over trying to be in the limelight, right? I mean, how many times did we see, her out there on a, at the border or out during ICE raids with her little, looking like G.I. Joe Barbie. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I would rather have someone who is efficient at running things, who is efficient at communicating exactly what the administration is trying to do and administering, making sure that they're doing it, than someone who's interested in PR. So Kristi Noem is out, and I think the administration and the nation is better for it. Now let's see what we can do about Pam Bondi, because I really would like to see her gone as well. I'm sorry. I think she's a nose hair away from getting the boot as well. I would really, tell you what I'd really like, I really would not mind seeing Deputy or Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights, the Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, take her place. Not saying, just saying. Not saying, just saying. But anyway, all that having been said, I think this is a good thing. Like I said, I also believe that, unlike before, the couple of things. Number one, Trump didn't come out and badmouth her, right? The way he did others when they were out of the administration. Now she hasn't been gone that long. She's got a new assignment. She's going to be the head of, I forget the name of it. It's a group that is going to be now overseeing or working, called the Shields of America. Let me see here. I'm pleased to announce, no, that's going to be taking place. Oh, she's going to be special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere. We're announcing on Saturday in Florida. So she's got another job. So she's not fired. She's basically been moved, demoted, whatever you want to call it. But she's been moved. So she's no longer going to be in that role. And that's something that you didn't see in the first administration. If someone got booted, not only did they get booted, but you saw a lot of name calling. You saw a lot of bad mouthing. And in this case, I think he stuck with her largely because the border was secure. I mean, you might remember Mr. Mayorkas, who basically was Homeland Security forever, never got fired, by the way, for going before Congress and lying and saying that the border is secure. I still remember watching him sitting there testifying before Congress in a split screen of people just walking across our southern border. And Democrats had no issue with it. They had no issue. They didn't want to see him go. They had no problem with the fact that he was completely and utterly inept and did not have any idea how to effectively do his job. They didn't care. They literally did not care. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, but now looks like good things are happening. Good things are happening. I believe this is a positive move for the Trump administration. All right. Also up in the news today, the Senate has voted, and there was a motion, and what they wanted to do was they wanted to limit the president's Iran war powers, right? In other words, there are those in the Senate who believe that, that the president shouldn't have done what he did, that they believe that despite all of the precedent from presidents before him, they were like, we believe he overstepped, and so we're going to try and rein in his powers. Well, let's just put it this way. The vote failed. It failed, and I would say that it failed along party lines, but it didn't, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It says here, this being reported by CNN, Republican senators rejected a war powers resolution on Wednesday that would have required the Trump administration to seek congressional approval before continuing military action against Iran. One Republican, Kentucky's Senator Rand Paul, joined Democrats in voting for the resolution. Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania joined Republicans in voting against it. So he was the only Democrat. You notice how they pointed out one Republican, but then they don't point out and only one Democrat. But one Democrat did vote. It says here, to the alarm of some Capitol Hill lawmakers, President Donald Trump ordered strikes on Tehran over the weekend and called for the overthrow of the current regime. Senate Majority Leader John Thune had argued that Trump did have the authority to order the strikes on Iran, despite the fact that the military operation was not put to a vote in Congress. Now, once again, that was not necessarily needed to happen. So what you had here, you have 47 votes yes. You have 47 votes yes. You had 44 Democrats, 2 independents, and 1 Republican who voted for it. And then you had 53 no's. In other words, 53 folks voted against it. That would be 52 Republicans and 1 Democrat voted against it. And as you see here, once again, I'll just make sure you see it. All the Republicans voted no. All the Democrats voted yes, except for Senator Rand voted yes. He was the only Republican to vote yes, and Senator Fetterman voted no. He was the only Democrat to vote no. Now, I'll say it. I'll bring it up once again. You had Barack Obama, who bombed 7 different countries, including, by the way, killing an American citizen overseas. Never got congressional approval. You had Clinton, who did the same thing. You had Bush, who did the same thing. In fact, the last time we actually declared war, because that's what they really want. Democrats are saying, well, you should have to declare war in order to do any of this. Well, the last time we declared war, correct me if I'm wrong, but was World War II. That was the last time we actually declared war. Anyway, all that having been said, they voted to uphold the president's decision and say that he still has the power, he still has the authority to do exactly what he did. And once again, that's kind of consistent with how things have kind of gone. Now, mind you, because of what he did, because of what's going on, he's basically got 60 days. Within 60 days, he has to go before Congress. If he wants to continue beyond 60 days, the military action, he's going to have to get the approval of Congress. That's what the War Powers Act says, right? That it's really kind of that simple. Now, you can argue, the argument is whether or not danger was imminent, right? So in other words, under the War Powers Act, if you believe that we are under threat, and if you believe that it's imminent, then the president has the authority to engage in military action. So the only question is, what's your definition of imminent? What's your definition of threat? And the argument that's come from the administration is kind of twofold. Number one, you have all the things that Iran has done over the last 47 years, to demonstrate that they are a threat to the United States. Keep in mind that they open up every single one of their meetings by chanting death to America. Maybe not every meeting, but a lot of their meetings chanting death to America. Keep in mind the fact that the leaders there have basically repeatedly referred to Israel as the little Satan, but to America as the great Satan. Keep in mind that they've taken American hostages, that they've killed Americans, that they've attacked Americans, that they are the number one funder of terrorism in particular against the United States, that through their proxies, they have attacked the United States over and over and over and over and over again. And then, as a part of negotiations, they're sitting down with Iran to talk about negotiations. Couple of things. Number one, Iran says, look, we've got enough nuclear material to build 11 bombs. All we have to do is enrich it, and it'll take us about 2 weeks. Now, I don't know if they actually have it, but they say they have it. And if that is in fact the case, first of all, as a negotiating ploy, what are you thinking? Did you really think that was going? If you thought that was going to scare off the United States, you're just dumb. Let me clarify. If you think that's going to scare off Donald J. Trump, you're just dumb. You have not been paying attention to Donald Trump. You have not been paying attention to history, to him, to anything over the last decade. So that was issue number one. Issue number two, you say that you plan to continue enriching. They absolutely positively refused to stop with their ballistic missile program. Now, the point of the ballistic missile program, they're arguing, is because they have a space program. They want to send people into space. They don't want to send people into space. They want the ability to be able to launch rockets far enough to hit the United States so that they can put their nuclear weapons on them. So those were two things. Ballistic missile program, got to go. Nuclear program, got to go. They didn't just say no, they said hell no. And then you add to all of that, the fact that Trump said, make it very clear, he said, don't you kill those protesters. Don't you do it. And then they turn around and they killed 30,000 of them. What did y'all think Donald Trump was going to do? He's not Barack Obama. He doesn't draw a red line and then let you just walk right over it. Now, you add that to the fact that basically Israel said, look, we're done. We're going in. We're going to do this. Right? You're either with us or you're not, but we're going to do this. Now, recognizing and understanding that that's exactly what was going to happen, you know that the targets afterwards are going to be not just Israel, but are going to be the United States because, they, like Democrats, say, well, if Israel's doing it, it's really the United States. So understanding that and recognizing that we now have that basically Iran, there was never going to be a better time to strike Iran. There really wasn't. There never was going to be a better time to take out all of the people who had threatened the United States. There really wasn't. So it was a no-brainer. It really was a military no-brainer. And they took full advantage. And my hat's off to them. It was the right choice. It was the right thing at the right time. And anyway, Democrats don't think that's enough. They don't. So anyway, they're just going to have to get over that. But and they're going to try and use that against the administration. But here's the thing: I know that right now the action is not popular. The key is going to be this: we've got to win, and we've got to win quickly. As long as this does not turn into a long-term war, as long as we are successful in getting the things that we said we were going to get. Number one, ballistic missile program, gone. Number two, the nuclear program, gone. Number three, no more killing of protesters. And, we're likely going to see some regime change. Basically, not so much regime change, because I don't think we're going to be there. We're not going to be a part of selecting who the new leader is. Right now, I believe it's the son of the Ayatollah. But in the long run, what is that going to look like? What is the new leadership going to look like? Is it going to be someone who's going to agree to our terms? If not, then we keep going. Anyway, it's going to be real interesting to see what happens. I think in the end, once we show that we have won, the American people are going to fall in line. And the American people are going to be happy. They will ultimately be very, very happy with What happens because in the short term, gas prices are going to go up because of what's going on in the Middle East, but eventually they'll start to smooth out, and you're going to see some stability in the Middle East. And that's the one thing is Democrats right now are trying to say that you're destabilizing the Middle East. The reality is that the number one destabilizer of the Middle East was Iran. And I think this is going to start to bring back some stability as you start to see there are a lot of folks right now, because Iran is not a majority Muslim country. It's run by the mullahs, which is majority, which are Muslims. But now that basically that most of that government has been removed, you're starting to see. I think you're going to see a secular takeover of the government. You're going to start to see, and I'm not saying it's not going to be a dictatorship. I'm not going to say it's going to. I'm not going to say that it's going to be a democratically elected government. I do believe you're going to see some form of a secular government who's more interested in not pissing off the United States than you had before all of this started. And I think that Americans will recognize as an overall foreign policy win by the Trump administration. All right, that then leads us. Let's talk about war in the United States. In particular, I think sometimes I wonder if we have a greater likelihood of having war between California and the rest of the nation, because California, I hate to say this, the folks who lead California here, it's a whole different group of folks. Let me tell you, they are not fun folks, and that, by the way, includes our Attorney General, Mr. Rob Bonta, who is, in my opinion, for lack of a better term, he is a true Nimrod. But one of the things he wants to do is he wants to dictate, like many leftists do, they want to dictate their values on the rest of the world, in this particular case, the rest of the country. Bearing Arms, our good friend, Mr. Tom Knighton, had a piece today talking about California's anti-gun AG wants to dictate law to the rest of the nation. It says our California Attorney General Rob Bonta is a piece of work. We thought Kamala Harris was bad in that role, but the truth is that Harris was always going to be held back by her inability to form actual sentences. Oh, that's hilarious. Bonta, though, Unfortunately, he uses those actual sentences to repeatedly attack the rights of law-abiding Americans. His latest target, though, isn't someone within his own state. He's going after people who engage in perfectly legal activity elsewhere, all because some Californians break the law. And here's a quote. It says, a lawsuit filed by California Attorney General Rob Bonta and San Francisco City Attorney David Chu is targeting the Gadalog Foundation, Inc., and the CTRLPEW LLC. California claims that Gadalog and CRTLPEW are providing prohibited persons with plans to make ghost guns, 3D printed firearms without serial numbers. Matt LaRosiere, who is an attorney in Florida and is loosely connected to hobby gunsmiths via Gadalog, is one of the people California is suing. He explains in his video interview what they want, what they call Gadalog is just hobbyists who found each other on the internet. They are not selling guns. They are talking about and toying with concepts for guns digitally. Quote, if California can regulate access to the instructions, said LaRosiere, not just by California, but with this lawsuit, then what they're saying is they want to regulate the entire internet worldwide. That would mean that you'd be cut off at the heels from making a gun at home. And I think most of us can agree that if you have the right to keep and bear something, it necessarily subsumes you have the right to acquire it. When asking about Gadalog, LaRosiere explained that it is not a that it is not a group like the NRA. There's no member that has a card. There's no board of directors. There's no nothing. It's kind of a group of hobbyists associating in an around an idea. The idea is home gunsmithing. So in other words, one of the topics that they discuss is 3D printing of guns. And one of the things they likely provide is maybe the plans on how to, if you want to try this or if you want to try that. Now, I worked with Matt over at the Firearms Policy Coalition. And I'll tell you in a second, he's a big believer in liberty, right? In other words, you have guys like Rob Bonta who want to believe that, that free speech is free speech as long as you're not talking about, until you get to guns. If you want to advocate for the right to keep and bear arms, well, no, that doesn't count under free speech. They want to limit that speech. We had a program over there. It was called Code is Speech, where the Firearms Policy Coalition provided access to plans for some of the very first 3D printed firearms. And the whole point was that if someone could get, for example, the Anarchist Cookbook, which taught you how to make bombs, right? Taught you how to make Molotov cocktails. If you can get access to that on the internet, why shouldn't you have access to this? I mean, it is called speech. In other words, simply knowing or providing instructions on how to do something, is that in and of itself illegal? And people who don't like guns want you to believe that it should be or that it is illegal. And in this particular case, they want to make you believe that speech, that right to take away your speech extends beyond their jurisdiction. I mean, how egotistical do you have to be to believe that? To believe that you now have the right, the ability to reach beyond the jurisdiction, the place where you are elected, and tell the rest of the country how they can act. Tell the rest of the country how they can live their lives. Nah. I'm not down with that. And I don't think that most Americans are. I don't think that most of you are. But there are people out there who believe that in the name of security, it's okay to take away your liberty. And particularly if it's a liberty they choose not to exercise. They have no problem taking away your right to exercise that liberty. All right. Yesterday we were talking about the outcome of the election there in the primary elections, in particular in Texas, and we talked about how Mr. Tallarico, who is a Democrat, beat out, and when I say beat out, I mean he pretty much walloped Ms. Jasmine Crockett, pretty much whooped her pretty bad, so bad she was blaming Republicans on how bad she got whooped. But the interesting thing is that now this is a guy who's, first of all, he is still very much a progressive, but he's a progressive left. In fact, the folks on the left are starting to wonder because he either formerly went to or was part-time went to seminary. He likes to fashion himself as a progressive religious left. And so there was this piece over at The Week saying, is James Tallarico's Texas win a sign of a rising religious left? The state's latest Democratic Senate hopeful has brought an overtly religious message in his progressive campaign. Will other Democrats take note? And let's take a look at some of this. It says, when State Representative James Tallarico took the microphone to deliver his victory speech after winning the Texas's Democratic Senate primary this week, he noted that his Republican rivals would likely call him a radical leftist. That's because he is. Or a fake Christian. That's because he is. Indeed, Tallarico's faith has become a major feature of the 36-year-old's political work, which the former seminarian has described as unapologetically religious terms. Faith is, quote, central to my life, and the reason, quote, why I'm in public service. Tallarico said in a recent interview with Time speaking about religion in a way to tell, quote, or quote, to tell the people that I seek to represent why I'm doing this. With Tallarico's narrowly, it was not narrowly. Anyway, narrowly defeating Jasmine Crockett for the party's nomination to unseat Senator John Cornyn in November. His Faith First brand the start of a new electoral movement for Democrats. What the commentators say among Tallarico's powerful qualities, that is his unapologetic embrace of Christianity that not only sets him apart from other rising Democratic stars, but could even help reshape American politics, said MS Now. During his time in politics, Tallarico has gained a national reputation for rooting his opposition to Christian nationalism in his own Christian faith and for defending religious freedoms without casting religion as the enemy. Delivering his campaign stump speech in both red and blue districts with the cadence of a sermon and including a more than occasional mention of Scripture, Tallarico is betting that his religious foundation opens the door for a broader coalition of voters, Texas Tribune said. At the same time, Tallarico's progressively religiosity has elicited a backlash from Christian conservatives who see his faith as incongruous with their own, despite a shared vocabulary. Conservative Christian Texans, already familiar with the kinds of teachings one might hear from Tallarico's Austin area church, said Mother Jones. Research suggests that many of these Texans would rather dance with the devil than a church-going Democrat. To say nothing of seminarian who says God is non-binary. And that, by the way, is just one of the positions that he has taken that is really just kind of whacked out. And I would just encourage you, if you just Google him, James Tallarico, not just Google him, go to YouTube or go to TikTok or go to Instagram and pull up some of the things that he has said. And then challenge some of the scripture that he has said. And dude is, how shall I say this? He is very good at perverting the word. Like, he believes that God is non-binary. He said that God is non-binary. He says he's not just male, he's not female, but he represents 6 different genders. Now, I don't know where he gets this. I don't know what his biblical found. I mean, he does say, well, if in the original, I don't know if he says the original Greek or the original Hebrew, but suffice it to say, I've already seen a number of biblical scholars say, yeah, no, that is not true, and correct him. When he talks about, the southern border, he's saying that we should have a welcome mat at our southern border, and that is also not biblically correct. I will at least say that at least when I talk to Christians who are Democrats, at least he gives an attempt to try and justify some of his progressive positions. When I say progressive, I mean Marxist positions. But first and foremost, many of the positions that he takes are completely and utterly incongruent with Christian faith and biblical scripture. And maybe later I'll go into a little bit more of that and share a little bit more surrounding that. But suffice it to say, Democrats really do see this dude as a way to go. Now, in the end, I think he's going to have a problem, because I think you're going to have pastors who do know the word are going to continue to challenge him on the things that he is saying. He is obviously, in my opinion, he is more dangerous than a Jasmine Crockett, because Jasmine Crockett was obviously absurd. Mr. Tallarico plays into all of the stereotypes. He's a clean cut white guy who goes to church, and there are some people who are going to be fooled by that, by the fact that he's not afraid to talk about the Bible. But I'm going to note that you're not going to see him go against or go up against or communicate with or be interviewed by many Christian conservatives. He's not going to go on Christian talk radio, because as soon as he does, he's going to be exposed. And he knows that. He knows he's going to be exposed. So you're not going to hear a lot about it, but I'm looking forward to see how this race shapes out, in particular, if he winds up going against Paxton. Because see, Paxton is going to be interesting because Paxton is kind of the opposite version of him, except he also has no problem talking about his Christian faith, but he's also got his own issues. Cornyn, unfortunately, I'm really hoping Cornyn doesn't win, and I say that to say this, and I realize that a lot of people think there's a risk, but I think the establishment Republican Party needs to be taught a lesson, and he is the epitome of the establishment. He has taken too many positions that are soft pedaling, that are taking of the middle, and I think that one of the things you're starting to see is, he spent $70 million in the primary and barely got out. I mean, when I say barely got out, I mean he barely got a runoff. I have a distinct feeling that things are going to be a changing there they're going to be changing in Texas. And I think that Paxton is going to win because what's going to wind up happening is Paxton is going to collect more of the votes that Wesley Hunt had than is Cornyn. And then you're going to wind up basically, is the Cornyn contingent, are they going to go with the fake Christian, with the blasphemous Christian, the Christian Democrat? Or are they going to go with the Trumpster type that they hate? Now we're going to find out. Are they willing to put party above personal politics? We shall see. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word. Get your Hog Holsters today. This first one here, this was kind of interesting. I did not realize this, and I have not fact-checked this, but if it is true, this is kind of interesting.
Donald Trump took out Ayatollah Khomeini on the 11th day of Ramadan in the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. So Donald Trump took out the supreme leader of Iran on the Islamic version of 9/11. Just pointing out the obvious.
Once again, I have not fact-checked that. But if it's true, makes you go, All right, this next one, I love a good puppet show. I'll just leave it at that.
Baby, we got a problem. We might have to stop the war.
What? But we've already been...
I know, man, I know, but something happened that we did not anticipate.
Well, how? We've infiltrated every single aspect of...
Because they waited days to do it, man. Days. They really caught us napping this time.
Pull yourself together, Donald. Talk to me.
I don't know how to say this, BB, but there's been a statement of utmost concern from the Europeans.
Those bottle caps better be attached to the missiles, Donald.
They're like, Monsieur President, you violated the Ayatollah's data privacy.
Your aircraft carriers are rated C- for energy efficiency.
I'm screaming. Boy, we could go on for weeks like this.
Oh, we will.
Weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and...
Yeah, no, we're not going to be going on weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. But anyway, once again, I thought that one was hilarious. Also, wanted to note, just like with, just like you've seen taking place with the support of Gaza, needless to say, the left is out there in full force protesting that, to protect, because they don't like the fact that we overthrew the folks over in Iran. This was brought up by Mr. Bill Maher.
And finally, new rule: if you're out protesting for a couple of hours wearing this, you have to go all the way and spend an afternoon running errands wearing one of these. You can't side with the people who ruthlessly oppress women without at least getting a taste of what you're supporting.
I happen to agree with that. Anyway, folks. All right, that will brings us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Learn more at cragop.org. We've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun, that would be uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. I will be back, at least hopefully Mike will be back, but we will be back tomorrow for Free for All Friday. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and we will see you mañana.